Good morning everyone and welcome to another episode of the Stronger Together podcast here at Ossett United. We are in Graham Firth today for a change, so I realise it's been a bit of a long time since the last one, which we can only apologise for, logistics and scheduling. But we are back today and we are joined today by Neil Spofforth and Debbie Hardiker, and we also have a very special guest all the way from Sweden. We have Peter with us today. So we'll just go quickly round the table, quick introductions as they weren't here the last time. So quick introduction, Spoff, yourself.
Yeah, club director, club secretary. First time doing a podcast, so apologies for the content.
Also, we've got Debbie Hardiker with us this morning. Debbie, how are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you, and I'm really pleased to have been invited today to take part.
No, you're very welcome. And also, we've got all the way from Sweden. We have Peter. Peter, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. So, how was your flight over?
Oh, it was great. A bit hectic in Amsterdam when I changed flights, but otherwise it was good.
We've got here safe and sound. That's all that matters. So it has been a while since the last one. So we'll dive into the recap of the previous fixtures. Spoff, last minute comebacks, good performances, some bad. Your take on the previous performances?
Yeah, it's been a mixture of results. We're currently 8th in the table before today's game, which I think is a fair reflection of the squad over the season. Positives with like the Sheffield game where we got the late winner. Even the week before, Pickering we drew 1-1, and that's one of those where I think you get another 5 minutes on the game and there were only one team looking to win it. Last weekend, obviously, a bit of a reality check at Stockton, who are a very, very good team. And obviously, as Jazz touched on his comments, we gave them the goals rather than making them work for them too hard. They were the better of the side during the game and probably did deserve the win. But one thing that we do need to do is make teams work that little bit harder sometimes, I think.
And those players that have come in, your view on the players that have come in recently, that you've seen anyway? Yeah,
there's two of them, Craig Nelthorpe and Curtis Morrison, were two players that they wanted to bring in as soon as they joined. There is good quality non-league footballers. Certainly the case of Curtis Morrison, he chose to go to Cleethorpes, which above us in the league, challenging for promotion. That was understandable. Cleethorpes have recently re-signed a lad from Hull City who they had before Christmas, which has pushed Curtis down the pecking order a little bit, so we were able to take advantage of that. And Craig Nelthorpe's been sort of in and out of the Belper side lately, and that was one where we'd made an approach for him. He decided to stay at Belper because again they're pushing for promotion, but coming up to deadline days he's actually got in touch with us because we couldn't officially make an approach, having already made an approach in the season, so he's arranged his deregistration at Belper, and we were able to get him just before the deadline.
Fantastic. And Debbie, your view on the games as well. What's your thoughts on the previous games?
My opinion's going to be completely different to Spock's. As a fan, I've found it really, really frustrating that we've had an inconsistent squad basically since January. Masses of changes again, and I strongly feel that they haven't been the right positions that we've targeted. Stockton game, again, I think my opinion was slightly different. I thought Stockton were quite poor. We just were a lot poorer. I think the last sort of like 10-15 minutes of the game, we looked to actually come back. We were fighting in the last 10 minutes of the game, which was nice to see. Because when you're 4-0 down, your heads are dropped and the quality's not there. But I just found there was a fighting spirit in the last 10 minutes. Now, if we've got a fighting 10 minutes at the end, why haven't we got a fighting spirit, for the 60 minutes before? So I was disappointed in the Stockton game. I really thought if we'd have played the squad that I would have selected, but we're all managers on the sidelines, I suppose, it would have been a different ball game.
And are you happy with Jazz and Ward? Obviously you said your view is quite different to Spock.
I've spoken to them socially and they're really, really nice chaps. Again, I coach a completely different sport and I see things completely different. I've followed non-league football for a long time. I've seen strong managers, I've seen weak managers. it's the inconsistency with the constant changes. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I would have said there wasn't a back four to touch our back four. But it's chop and changing again. And when you've got two available back four players sitting on the bench for people that the fans don't know, I found that really frustrating. And I can't wholly blame the goals on the back four.
No.
Because we've had, inconsistencies in the middle again. We've missed players. We've lost players that have been really disappointed that they've chose to walk, and they've chose to walk for a reason. So I found that really, really hard to take, and I've also found it quite hard that again we're bringing in players that we have strong players for those positions. So I would have looked to strengthen in other areas.
Okay, well, different view indeed.
Absolutely, but that's what football's
indeed,
about.
Diverse opinions indeed. Peter, you've been listening on the radio. What's been your views of the previous games?
It's difficult when you don't see the games, but I think that what we lack is a goal scorer who can score 15-20 goals a season. I think that's what we need, and we have let in a lot of goals in some games.
I mean, it's been a bit. I know it's chopping and changing a lot, and obviously Walsall was in sort of decent form. Off away, who got into decent run of form, but are we missing the out-and-out striker? Do you think that is just there purely to get the goals, if you like?
Yes, I think so.
Well, we've got some new signings in on deadline day. Everyone pleased with deadline day that we did? Debbie, do you know much about the signings that we got in?
I do. I've got quite a lot of friends within non-league, so as soon as we get a new signing, I'm constantly messaging people, what's he like, what's he not like. And it's nice to hear other people's take on things. Again, when you see advertised that you've got a new left back and a new, left midfielder, I'm thinking I can't again understand. We've had a guy on loan play left back, we've had Ross play left back, and in my opinion, and people are going to think, oh well, you're his mum and all the rest of it. I still deem he's been the strongest left back we've had this season.
No, I don't agree with that.
And when I have fans from the club who I know but not on socially, message me out of the blue, think can't believe it, and I'm constantly being bombarded, and then I message Ross saying, have you done something wrong? And he's like, no mum, it's just football, it is the game of football. But again, from a coaching side, I'm a great believer in you put your strongest 11 out, week in, week out, and then you will see the areas of weakness. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I would agree. I think Ross has been the better left back that we've had this season, definitely. I know he's had a couple of injuries this season, which has been unfortunate. It would just be nice to see a settled back four, I think.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I know Calgill was out injured for a while. But it is a bit difficult to get a settled feel in the team.
At Stockton, I spoke to Deck and Ross were warming up on the side, and I said to Deck, you still, injured? And he said, no, I'm fit. And I was literally, well, why aren't you playing? And he says, well, it's not my selection. And I just thought, I felt, and I travelled up on the coach, and I just felt that there was this defeated attitude before we even got there. They didn't expect to get anything from the game. You should expect to get something from every game, whether you're playing the Liversidges or, you're playing the bottom of the league. You should be going to every game with your strongest 11 and competing, and we can compete.
Do you agree with that, Spofforth? Has it been a more unsettled team in the last few weeks, I think? Yeah,
there's been chopping and changing, even going back to the start of the season. They lost Ross Killock, who...
Massive loss.
Huge loss, probably one of the best defenders in the league. And I've said I genuinely believe if we'd have had Ross Killock all season and more of Jack Cowgill, there's a good chance that Wayne Bing could still be manager. I don't think they were ever properly replaced. I agree, and I'm not saying it because I'm sat within punching distance of Debbie. I think Ross has played very well at left back this season. Continually impresses me. Real heart on the sleeve, genuinely cares about the club. That's not to say other players don't, but Ross lives 2 minutes away,
but we've missed the likes of Oggy.
Oggy's
a passionate young man. and he's a phenomenal footballer.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, you can't excuse the red cards and things like that. We have been, harshly punished, I think, at times.
Yeah.
But again, the guy that came, the Viking, he was strong, and we allowed him to go. And to me, a player of his capability should not be sitting on the bench.
No, I was a bit surprised that he did spend most of the time that I seen him here on the bench. It was quite surprising, but
I do believe you could have played him anywhere, and he would have played exactly the same. He was strong.
Yeah, I seen him come on when we played. I think it was Shildon up in the North East. I think first game started.
Yeah.
And I thought he was really good that day. He was really strong that day.
Yeah, definitely disappointed to lose him. He didn't go to a couple of training sessions,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons that he was out of the side. He has been injured this season and wasn't fully fit. And again, that's one of the reasons that he weren't starting as much as we would possibly have hoped.
But I'd still up even 20 minutes out of him,
Yeah.
because he was I look at the people that graft on a pitch, and to me that warrants your shirt. It's you've got to give 100% every game, and you know, I see people with their heads down and complaining at referees, and we complain them for a lot of things, but at the end of the day, if you can get off that pitch and say, I put my heart on the line for that game, that's what it. And we've had a couple of results where you can see we've come from behind and we've scraped a win.
Yeah.
And that fighting, we need that from the first whistle to the last whistle of every game.
Have you heard that Peter on the radio? Obviously, I know you listen to it. It's different to listening to seeing, but when you're listening, do you get a lack of fighting spirit, if you like?
What we lack in non-league is maybe to get a more consistent squad who stays year after year. And now they come and go, and you get four new players who never heard about Ossett United.
2 or 3 times in the season, and I'm a great believer. As a manager, if I was signing people at the beginning of the season, I would expect them to stay. Yeah. And as a player, you know, they've given that commitment to you, and you don't walk away halfway through a season for £20 a week more, and that's what happens with a lot of players. I look at the Liversidge squad. They're in the position that they are, not just because they've got a really strong outfit, but consistently they have a squad of 20 players. Yeah. There's no chopping and changing.
No. And that may lie the difference. Hopefully, the last 6 games or so, we can get a consistent lineup. So we'll just do a quick sort of get to know. Obviously, we've got new guests on the show today. So starting off with Neil Spofforth. Neil, just a bit about yourself, your role at the club, and a sort of an average day in the life of yourself at the club.
Well, club secretary, so I've generally got bits and bats to do every day. Be it I get emails from the league for minor little things that just need picking up. I'll speak to Jazz or Wardy most days, just catch up, see what's going on. Obviously this last week has been busier than normal, with it being deadline week, so having to get the players signed, get the forms in and getting all that done and dusted. But yeah, it's just a lot of communication really, chatting. There's been discussions with the board ongoing this week just about the little things. Obviously sometimes certainly the younger element of the crowd have caused a couple of problems lately, so we've been discussing changing how we steward the matches, which will hopefully be seen today. And yeah, it's a lot of talking and just doing the best we can for the club and dealing with stuff as it comes in.
A lot of talking, a lot of paperwork. And do you follow a team outside of football at all? Or?
I sort of touched on it in my programme notes today. I did follow Middlesbrough as a youngster, but ever since I first came to watch non-league football, I just got non-league football and I absolutely love it. I have also got a soft spot for Woking due to a computer game I played as a kid, and I have been to watch them a few times when if we've not had a game or anything. But Ossett United are my team. Yeah.
And obviously you've been with Ossett a long time. Was it sort of, as you say, was it love at first sight with Ossett then?
Yeah. It just felt right. I don't know. It's really hard to describe. I was 19, 20-year-old. First game I came to, the kit was almost identical to the Middlesbrough kit. So that's how I got it. And again, I put in the programme notes, there were 2 or 3 players who were recognised, which I'd never expected. I was just expecting, as a naive kid, glorified park football. And I was seeing a former Nottingham Forest player, Matthew Smithard, who'd won Youth Cup for Leeds against the class of '92. And it was just really, really good football. Really good atmosphere. Obviously not like the crowds we get today. It were 100, 120 if we were lucky. But just got to know people and just enjoyed coming for the 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon.
And at 19, did you see yourself being club secretary or on the board at all?
No, absolutely not. I followed the club as a fan for 5 or 6 years. I did stop coming for a time when my son was born, and then when he started showing an interest in football around 2010ish, I started bringing him down here, and he got pally with a couple of kids who turned out to be Matthew Rogers and Ewan Broadbent, who were James and Lee's sons, so I got to know them a little bit better, and I just started doing little bits, and then all of a sudden I joined the committee, I was club secretary, and 7, 8, 9 years later, whatever it is, it's still here now.
And here we are. All right, and then obviously we've got special guest Peter from Sweden today. So Peter, I have to ask, how on earth in Sweden did you hear about non-league Ossett United?
I was on a plane back from England in 1996, and I read an article about Ossett Albion in Team Talk, if you remember that magazine. And I wrote to the club, and when I first visited Ossett Albion, it just felt right.
And you've been following ever since?
Yes, I have.
And do you get over very often? Obviously before the pandemic, obviously.
Try to go once a season at least.
Oh, very good. And do you follow a team in Sweden outside of Ossett United?
Yes. Malmö.
Malmö. Yeah, I've had a bit of a sketchy history with Celtic in that one.
Yeah.
A few bad results there, I must admit, but oh well, that's very good. Obviously, it's lovely to have you here. Honestly, it really is. Very special guest today. And obviously today is non-league day, which is a celebration of all things non-league football, if you like, which is sponsored by prostate cancer. During the pandemic, 14,000 men went undetected. So if you think you've got anything to worry about, please get yourself checked and stay safe. And obviously it's obviously as well sponsored by Kick It Out, and everyone at Ossett United is strongly behind the message of there is no room for racism in football or in society. So please, we aim to kick it out. And just obviously we've got as well David Hardiker. David, a bit about yourself.
Well, where do I start? The first time I actually came to Wingfield was about 18 years ago. I lived in Germany up until Ross was about 12. We brought him back. He was in the academy system in Germany, in the Bundesliga academy. We came over, and my priority was to get him into a football club. So locally, you look online, where is the strongest club for his age group? And it was Ossett Town Juniors. So made a phone call the first day we arrived back. He had a trial because his age group, they were so selective because they had such strong players, and if I was to name a few, you would know them. That he had to go through the selection process. He went, had a trial straight away, and luckily that night he was spotted by a guy called Steve Kelly, who's got a long standing history with Ossett, who was a scout for the local Premier League sides. And so Ross started with the Ossett Juniors, and within a week he was at Leeds United Academy. So he was so my life really was between Ossett Juniors and Leeds United. From there he went to Huddersfield, so back and forth. And then he was offered a pro contract of 15 with Grimsby Town. He went, spent 3 weeks, hated every minute and wanted to come back. So the Ossett Town manager at the time, I don't know whether you remember him, was a guy called Simon Collins.
Yep.
He's now in America. And he said, look, I'm quite happy for him during the week while he's doing his GCSEs to train here. So he trained here and was playing at Grimsby at the weekend. Ross then decided, no, I want to stay here. But in between, I was coming and watching the local football. Even though we had a family season ticket at Old Trafford, we still gave up part-time to come and watch Ossett Town. So then it became Ossett Town. I was here as a fan. I was here as a mum of a player, as a young player. And then Ross moved on to Bradford Park Avenue. So from there, I stayed here as a loyal fan. And then from Bradford Park Avenue, went to Wakefield to Albion. So he played 4 seasons at Albion. So if Albion were away, rather than follow Albion away, I was coming to watch Ossett Town. So a lot of booing, hissing in between grounds. So Ross actually played for Town, Albion, and then when the merger came about, as a family we were thrilled because it's such a fantastic community. We love the atmosphere at Ingfield, we love the atmosphere at Dimple Wells, and to be part of the amalgamation of it was immense. So, and then Ross luckily was offered a chance to sign, and I've been here ever since.
So were you in favour of the merger straight away when it came along?
Absolutely. The really disappointing thing for a town this size to have 2 non-league teams in the same league. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love derby days. Either way, I love derby days. But look what happened with, like Spofforth was saying, 120 here, 120 at Dimplewell. That first season, we were getting 500, at least 500 through the gate. It was obvious that there was, the community had said, well, I don't need to pick one, I don't need to pick the other. We're united, and we couldn't have picked a better name, really.
Indeed. Peter, did you hear much of the merger in Sweden? Obviously, you said back in '96.
I saw it on Twitter first, and I didn't like it straight away, but it was the only sensible thing to do. I think it's been a real success story.
So what made you go against it to start with? Like what was it about it you didn't like? I
don't know. I just liked also Albion, and the derby days was fun, as Debbie said, and but a town of Ossett size, I don't think we can have 2 good football teams.
I don't think you could have used really the word community. And it was Ossett Town and Ossett Albion, but now you can.
So Debbie, have you got a football team outside of Ossett? Obviously, you mentioned season ticket at Old Trafford, but
I've got a few. Well, Manchester United is my team. My family are all from Scotland, so I have to. I'm not going to hear the boo hiss from you here. Rangers fan.
Someone's got to be.
But I also follow non-league football in Scotland. And my local tiny little town, smaller than Ossett, is a tiny town called Kelty Hearts. And over the last 5 seasons, they've promotion every year. They're now in the 2nd division. Today they could be crowned champions. Really tough day for me. I'm super excited. Non-league football, that's what it's about.
Indeed, yes. Obviously, I myself, as Debbie said, I caught them when she mentioned Rangers. I'm a Celtic fan, always have been. A couple of dodgy European results against Malmo from Sweden. A couple of good results against Manchester United, I must admit.
I know.
So obviously they're my team outside of Ossett United. Always have been, always will be. Even when we were one of the worst sides to watch in the 90s. Watching Rangers get 9, that was painful. But we did it ourselves recently, and then messed it up in the most important season. But there we go.
I think it's the best thing about Scottish football that Rangers are back in there, back in the game.
Speaking of derby days, those years with Rangers and Exeter, I did miss the derbies. It was like, right, who's the next biggest team? It just wasn't the same.
It was the beginning of the season. Who's going to beat you? Who's going to take you on? You need that fight spirit.
We missed that. I think I was working that day that they knocked us out of the Scottish Cup on penalties. I was working that day. That was a long day at work. I had it on the radio. I was just like, no. But since I've come to Ossett, it's been a definite. I've really enjoyed my time here. It's I can understand why people like it so much, and I can really get the feel of the club. And it's a great place to be. It's a great non-league club. So obviously today's non-league day, as we said, and looking ahead to the game, Spofforth, your predictions for the game, and what are you hoping to see from this game given the result against Stockton?
You want to see a fight from the first half. Debbie touched on it earlier, even looking at the Sheffield game which we won. First half we were poor, the second half was a good battling performance. Frickley again, first half not great, second half superb. So you just need to do that from the off. We know they can do it, they know they can do it. Jazz and Wardy know they can do it, they just need to do it. It will be tough. Shildon, like all the North East teams, are strong. Touched on it earlier about consistency of squad and selection. Shildon have got that one of the things I do for Jazz is I look through the last 5 fixtures of the team we're playing next, so I look and see like what selections have been doing. And the vast majority of the Shildon squad have all played 30 odd games this season for them, and that does make a difference, getting to know your teammates, the way they play. Obviously changing manager during the season, that does disrupt that for us, so hopefully from now going forward through to next season we will be seeing more consistency. It's a glorious day today, hopefully it'll be a big crowd. I think we'll sneak a win.
Okay.
Hoggy's back in the squad after suspension, and he has been a massive miss. I think the way he just sits in front of the defence, and I think people don't necessarily realise how good a player he is until he's not there. So having him back in will be massive today, assuming he's selected. But yeah, I think we'll sneak a win. It'll not be easy, it'll be tough, but yeah, I think we'll get a win.
And you're looking forward to seeing any of the new signings today, if they're selected?
Yeah, Craig Nelthorpe won't be selected. He's got too much ban from a sending off at Belper, so it'll be a couple of weeks before he's over selection. I would expect them probably to be on the bench rather than starting, because they've only had 1 or 2 training sessions. Curtis Morrison I've heard a lot about, so perhaps him coming off the bench for the last 15-20 minutes could be what turns the game. Yeah,
indeed. Peter, your predictions for today?
Well, obviously I hope Ossett United will win, and I say 2-1 to Ossett.
2-1 to Ossett. And what are you hoping to see from Ossett today in terms of performance?
Creating many chances, and tight defence.
Well, hopefully we can see that for you and make the trip extra special for you today. David, what are you looking to see from today's game, performance-wise, and
I'd like
for the result?
I would definitely like a win, a confident win. Again, until you've seen team selection, I don't know whether I could tell you whether I think we'll confidently win. But what I would like to see is delivery to Wally.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people have different opinions about James. I've known him a long time, and I've seen the capability of him. With the right delivery, that man can score goals, and I'd like to see at least 3 today.
I've seen it for the last few weeks. His goal scoring ability, obviously, he's not scored the goals everyone thought he was going to score when he's coming, but the games I've seen him play, especially in the last few weeks, and I said it at Tadcaster a couple of months ago, he won every single header.
Absolutely.
He was such a good target man that day. I think he lost 1 header, in the last 5 minutes.
You would never know he was the oldest man on the pitch.
You wouldn't.
No.
That day, no, you wouldn't.
He's a workhorse, and if he's delivered right, he can score beautiful goals, and I'd like to see him.
And then obviously, I've seen him bagged a couple at Staveley, and then he bagged a couple against Frickley.
Yeah.
Bagged a couple there, and that's when I suddenly thought, you know what, it's... But yeah, I think he's just been missing that service. I think this season he's not had that consistent service, if you like. And during the season he was dropping back a lot. Did that frustrate you seeing that?
Well, it did, but he's had to drop back because he's having to do the job of the central midfielders, and I found that quite frustrating because I've never seen him play in that role.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched him for 15 years.
Yeah.
And if a ball's pinged to him in the right place, he will finish that ball. But he's a workhorse.
Yeah, definitely.
But we've definitely needed him to work back. And maybe some players need to follow suit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's definitely puts the yards in, that's for sure. There are games I'll watch him. I just think you wouldn't, like you said, you won't think he's the age he is. I think today, obviously, given the loss of Stockton. I didn't think we were that good against Stockton. I didn't think Stockton... I thought they were the better side, but not... I was speaking to their media guy, and he was like, oh, the shot count is this and this is that. And I'm like, really? Is it really that bad?
No.
I thought their third goal was a good goal. Kev Hayes' goal, when he's cut inside, I thought that was the pick of the bunch. I thought it was a good goal. But I didn't think we were value for any goals in that game.
No.
So today I'd like to see a bit of a good response, of, do you know what? Yeah, that was a one-off. They've been on a good foot, a good run of results. We're lying 8th in the table. I'd just like to see a bit more oomph, a bit more like, right, we were on the canvas last time. Let's pick ourselves up And like you said, hopefully a couple of goals from Wally. Obviously, Offawebu's got a few goals recently. Yeah. Just a good, strong performance in the sunshine and make it a good day.
At the Stockton game, I was slightly disappointed when they did make the subs that they took him off.
Yeah.
Because with the subs that they brought on, it was attacking. Yeah. But we had nobody to deliver to.
Yeah.
And to me, we were just missing Wally for that last 10 minutes.
I think when we brought on was it the trialist that we brought on Kieran Ceesay. I kind of thought that was the wrong game to bring him into. Yeah. I thought
I agree with you there.
The service hasn't been there. It was the wrong game to introduce him to. I personally think, a young kid, you want to bring him on when the results are a bit more positive. And he's going to get a bit of service to really see what he can do. But I watched him at Staveley and I thought he was quite good. But just a good bit of service today. We saw the service come against Ficklin. We saw it come in the second half against Sheffield way back then. And yeah, just a good day overall. I think would be a good, strong performance with a couple of goals. It would be nice to commentate on some Ossett goals this weekend, to be honest. Right, so that's all we've got time for at the end of this episode. Peter, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope the game goes the right way for you, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your stay. And Spoff, thank you very much for joining us. Debbie, thank you for joining us.
It's been a pleasure, thank you.
And fingers crossed, Kelty Hearts can do the job for you this afternoon as well.
Champions.
And that'll just make it an overall good day.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Right, well, that's all I've got time for today on this week's podcast. Join us next time. We'll hopefully get a couple more guests from the board, and we'll get more views from Ossett United. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys, and if you can get down today. It is going to be a good day. Stay safe, guys, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.